Howell. I was born October the 24th, 1921, down on Main Street in the Miller House. Well, it was called, it was Dr. Miller's hospital, I guess. Been living 2 blocks away ever since.
I'm up on my knees, sonny boy. You are only sonny boy. You've no way of knowing. I've no way of knowing what you mean to me, sonny boy. When there are rains I don't mind the rain. You make them sonny boy.
Father built the Wenatchee Theater in 1916, and with his brother Clem Howell and another man, A.R. Moore, who had operated the movie theater down the street there.
Tell me the story about the Opera House.
My father was a machinist. Eskil Hammond was the projectionist at the Opera House. Wanted to get married and go on a honeymoon, and I guess my father had been interested watching him crank the film. In those days they had to stand there and crank it, and Eskil taught him how to do it, and he went off and got married, and my dad got into the theater business, and I guess he fell for it and been in it ever since. Mr. Moore had sold the Opera House, or they formed this corporation, the Wenatchee Theater Corporation, and opened the Wenatchee Theater, and they had 823 seats, I think, in it. Had a balcony. They had those silent days, and they finally got an organ, put in a nice organ, stage plays. I don't know exactly what year it was that the sound came in, because I was probably maybe 9 or 10 years old, and I didn't care about those things. I mean,
Did you have the jazz singer?
yeah, I remember they played it there at one of the first theaters. There wasn't that many movies made, at that time when they finally got it going. In my mind, it was closed for about a month. They, they changed the booth to put all the electric equipment for sound, and they had to build the speakers, and very exciting for a kid. I can remember going there from Sunday school and go up to the theater and watch the acts come in. And they had vaudeville on Sundays. That was the day they had it. A couple of times I was backstage and rode my tricycle out and won in front of an act.
Right. You're always a showman.
Yeah, I always wanted to get my 2 cents in. I think it was like 26, just before the big crash, financial crash.
Yeah.
The National Theater Syndicate came to town and said, "We'll give you a price, and we think it's a good price if you'll sell." And they said, "No, we don't want to sell. We've started this thing, we're not going to sell." They said, "Well, if you don't sell, we're going to build a great big one, even more majestic, across the street right from you, So they all said, "Well, that looks pretty good. Pretty good. That's quite a bit of money." So I don't know exactly what they sold it for. I know my dad says he lost it all in the market crash. He invested it in stocks, and 3 years later the thing went down. So all the money he made from the theater went away in the crash.
Oh no!
But he was lucky because the National Theaters, he was gone for about not even a week, and they got a hold of him, sent him a telegram, says, "We'd like to have you as the manager of the theater," and was the manager of the theater from then on. And then I grew up there and started working in 1938 when I was 16 for 25 cents an hour, changing posters, helping Richard Villeman. And we used to always go out on Armistice Day, which was the big day in the parade in Porterville. We'd get out on the marquee at the Monachi Theater and watch the parade.
How did Molina come about?
Well, in 1936, I was in high school, and the company wanted to build another theater, so they...
Was there that much need in Porterville? We were
Well,
growing.
evidently there was another theater, but they thought movies were getting better, we're going to pick it up a little. So they built the Molino Theater on the corner of Division Street and Mill Street. That's an interesting thing that they did. It had a wood floor, and it had a full basement. To get the slant on the theater floor, they blocked it up, and then they went around and cut it all the way around, and then took and put ice up underneath the floor, and as the ice melted, it let the whole floor. Real engineering achievement. Came down, all the ice melted at the same temperature, and it dropped the thing down and made the slant on the floor. The people were just shake their heads thinking, well, how could they ever do that? I was taking Spanish. It's on Mill Street. Mill in Spanish is Molino. And so they called it the Molino Theater, and it went and fit with the Monachi Theater and the Molino Theater. So people still wanted to go see the first run movies we used to bicycle prints. We'd have to play the same show at both theaters. And then we also started to pick it up. We had 2 for 1 for a while. So 2 people come in for one price on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Gimmicks to get people to come to the show.
Yeah.
Right after the Molino Theater opened, well then the Crystal Theater, which was on Main Street, we bought them out. But, so we had 3 theaters. I managed it for just a short time, and then the war, December the 7th, 1941 came along. I can remember opening and starting the show and going in, had a little radio, which I still have at home, turned on the news and says Pearl Harbor was bombed today, just bombed, and that was a big blow. I said, well, I'm not going to wait around and get drafted, so I went and enlisted in the Navy. When I came back from the service in end of 1945, my dad was just about worn out. Everybody else was gone, and it was hard to get help. And there was no other entertainment but the movies. There was no television in those days. They'd sit at home and listen to radio or go to the movies, and movies did pretty good business during the war. They were doing, they'd have war drives and bond drives and stuff, and people would come to go. I think of you so often. I love to think it's true that every time I think of you, you're thinking of me too. Although we are parted and far away, I won't be broken hearted. Just remembering things that you used to say. I love to think it won't be long till I'll be home with you. I'm sure the days will seem but few if you're thinking of me too. You see, there were. So I went back to work when I got out. Olive started, and the cotton was being picked and everything. This town was just overrun with migrant workers, and they all wanted to go to the Molino Theater. And we did so much business at the Molina Theater. At 25, 30 cents a ticket, 10 cents for kids, and 10 cents for a box of popcorn. And it was a very poor day when we didn't take in around $140 or $150 on the popcorn.
These are B movies they're showing? Or?
Yeah, a Western.
Yeah,
It always had to be a Western. Hopalong casting, Gene Autry. The Wenatchee Theater, after I got out of the service for a while, they had a thing called ghost shows.
Ghost shows.
All it amounted to was mainly was a magician to come up and do tricks and stuff and play eerie music, and then turn out the lights and have these things going around and floating them over the people and like gobbling the ghost or something. And they were really popular. People would go nuts. We had a show that did such a business at the Wenatchee Theater. We filled the show up, and there was so many people there. They crowded in it. They broke out the glass in the 40 by 60 frame in the lobby. It was stupendous. It was amazing.
Which theater was the Mickey Mouse Club? One of the first ones?
Oh, well, we had that and started in 1937 or 38. Kids would sign up, and when they sign up, well, they put their birthday, and then we'd mail out on their birthday a free ticket to the show, which was, back in those days, was a great thing for the kids. The theater holds 800, and it always had maybe 400 or 500 kids in there.
And this is before Disney had a club, is that correct?
Yeah, before the television had our club song. Shine your shoes, slick your hair, come along with me to Porterville's own Mickey Mouse Club. That's a place to be. Spread the news everywhere, listen to the band. To Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, let's give them both a hand. The three little pigs and the big bad wolf are playing piggyback. There's Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse in his Sunday best, and Donald Duck with his whack, 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 whack. Ring those bells, toot those horns, let the world be free. Wenatchee Mickey Mouse Club members, this is our big day. I can remember when we started going to build the Porter Theater.
Movies were movies when Porter was built. Movies.
And they bought the property where the Porter Theater is now. That used to be the city jail. Well-built theater. Each one of those pillars that the arch is on goes down 16 or 17 feet. And an earthquake, it's supposed to be earthquake-proof because those arches bend.
June 49, and then movies were movies when we, all of you, we ran the show.
I'll be loving you.
What happened with your dad after that?
Well, when we opened the Porter, and he retired then. They tore down the Wenatchee Theater in 1958, and Dad died in 1959. And he died, he walked down, he had a blocked heart, but he'd go for a walk, and he walked down, it was on a Monday night, walked down and walked into Thrifty when it used to be on the corner, fell over dead with a heart attack. Kenny Clifford, who was a news broadcaster he started out at K-Tip, but he was over at KCOK, he had the morning news. On the only corner in Porterville that he could see all the three theaters that he had started in Porterville. The Wenatchee Theater, the Molina Theater, and the Porter Theater. From, say, 1930 to 1975, not one day in 45 years was there not a show playing in Porterville under the Howell management. I'd hire people to work at the show and said, You mean I have to work on Christmas Day? I said, well, the show's got to go on. Somebody's got to work. You take the job, you've got to be there. In 1980, 5 years after we triplexed the theater, the Principal Theater sold out to Pacific Theaters.
What do you think of the movie business today?
We went to the show here a while back, and my son said, Dad, do you think that you'd ever see $5.25 for the cheapest box of popcorn you could get? Or
We had the 1947 film, and there's so many wonderful shots of people. They would dress up to come to the theater.
oh yeah.
And
Well, everybody dressed up for everything. People say, "Oh, you're wearing a tie." I wear a tie all the time because that's natural for me. You know?
Yes, in this sepia tone right up here, the little boy on the far right with the trumpet, that's Jimmie Howell, and he was 10 years old at that time, and you see here he's got knickers. In fact, here's Jimmie right now.
Hi, Jimmie.
And as you can see, he hasn't changed anything in the last 8 years.
Identical. I don't wear knickers anymore.
Who's
This is our big day. Don't tell me that you love me, just wag your tail. No lovers quarrels, no bungalows for two. Whoa, 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 whoa. Jada ho,
Look at how
jada jada ding ding.
So this is a
Now
book.
there's a
Pardon?
funny
This is a
little
book?
melody.
It's a book.
It's so
that
simple
was
and
written
simple
in
to
like
me.
2008.
Jada,
Okay.
oh
Or
jada,
something like that.
Oh, okay.
jada jada ding
By a
ding
woman
ding.
who, went and tried.
Aw. Do that again.
Roll on, you bears.
He's the only one of us that can sing.
My sweet embrace embrace me in every place for you. Just one look at you, my heart goes tipsy in me. You and you alone bring out the gypsy in me. I love the many charms about you. Above all, I want my arms about you. Don't be a naughty baby. Come to mama, do. My sweet embrace of all you. Dear Grandpa, for all the ways you're a blessing to me, wishing you joy in your world and the wonders of his love always. Merry Christmas. Lots of love, Chris, Elise, and Bailey.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to introduce to you Jim Howell. Jim was born on October the 24th, 1921. He will be 100 years old tomorrow. He was born on Charter Night. His father, Everett Howell, was a charter member of this club. His son, Travis, is a member of the club. Jimmie has been a member of the club since 1956. He served with honor and distinction in the United States Navy during World War II. Ladies and gentlemen, a husband, a father, grandfather, World War II veteran, a Rotarian who has truly exemplified the Rotary motto of service above self. Ladies and gentlemen, James E. Howell. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jimmie. Happy birthday to you. Table with the Rotary song. Jim, are you up to singing the R-O-T-A-R-Y song for this august audience?
The words, you don't need the words.
R-O-T-A-R-Y, that spells Rotary. R-O-T-A-R-Y, it's one big family. From north to south to east to west, the prophets once to serve the best. R-O-T-A-R-Y, that spells Rotary.
Thanks for the memory of candlelight and wine, castles on the Rhine, the Parthenon, and moments on the Hudson River line. How lovely it was.
Thanks for the memory of rainy afternoons, swingy Harlem tunes, and motor trips, and burning lips, and burning toast and prunes. How lovely it was.
Many's the time that we feasted, and many's the time that we fasted.
Oh, well, it was swell while it lasted. We did have fun, and no harm done.
And thanks for the memory of sunburns on the shore, nights in Singapore. You may have been a headache, but you never were bored. So thank you so much.
Thanks for the memory of sentimental verse, nothing in my purse, and chuckles when the preacher said, for better or for worse. How lovely it was.
Thanks for the memory of lingerie and lace, Pilsner by the case, and how I jumped the day you trumped my one and only ace. How lovely it was.
We said goodbye with a high ball, then I got as high as a steeple, but we were intelligent people. No tears, no fuss, hooray for us. So thanks for the memory, and strictly entre-nous.
Darling, how are you?
And how are all the little dreams that never did come true? Hopefully that I met you,
Cheerio and toodaloo.
and thanks
in here, come on in here, Alexander's Ragtime Band. Come on in here, come on in here, it's the best band in the land. They can play a bugle call like you never heard before. So natural that you want to go to war. It's just the bestest band what I am. Oh, my honey lamb, come on along, come on along. Let me take you by the hand. Up to the man, who's the leader of that band. And if you care to hear that Swanee River play in ragtime, come on along, come on in here, Alexander's Ragtime.